Mike is ready, I'm assuming, down there. Are you ready? Are you, okay.
No comment.
All right, good morning. I will call the Board of Commissioners, Todd County Board of Commissioners Board meeting on Tuesday, July 7th, 2020 to order. We do have several people on the conference bridge, and in person we will be having a few people. The sheriff is here. Human Resources will be here. Linda Dowse from the Recorder's Office is here. All commissioners are present, and we welcome the public who is viewing us online. And Denise, our county coordinator, is also present. Let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there any corrections or additions to the agenda?
I have one, Mr. Chair. We will be removing 13 under 13.1, the performance evaluation.
And Mr. Chair, I would like to pull out 4.2 for discussion under the consent items.
Okay, is there anything else?
I have nothing else.
Okay,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker wants 4.2, hiring of a deputy recorder, pulled for discussion, so we will not include that in the consent items. Okay? Yes. Yes. All right, anything else? If not, is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Is there any more discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried, thank you. All right, the consent items, which is item 4.1 and 4.3. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Erickson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. Then we will discuss 4.2.
If I could, a few meetings ago, we passed a resolution stating that we would take into very careful consideration any new hiring, especially before we have the budget for next year approved. Therefore, I was hoping this would wait until after we had the budget approved. But after reading what Linda had sent forward and Chris sent forward yesterday with how the need is downstairs in the recorder's office and how the other personnel from the other offices down there are helping you out. At this time, I see that it's okay to move forward with this hiring, but I do request that the other ones, as they come forward, do take into consideration the way we're working with our budget this year and the conditions of this year. So with that, I appreciate the letter that was sent out yesterday. And I'll make a motion to go ahead and move for the hiring of the deputy recorder.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Becker and second by Commissioner Newman. Is there a discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay. County warrants. County. Auditor Treasurer.
My first item today is auditor warrants. Background was sent for review. The Todd County Board of Commissioners to approve the June 2020 auditor warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $2,560,032.28.
Okay, you've heard the board action. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kenizel. Discussion? Not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenizel?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
The next board action is the commissioner warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation, Todd County Commissioners approve the following by motion: to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $180,180.33.
Okay, for the board action, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenizel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
My next board action is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background is sent for your review. To approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $37,175.84.
All right, you heard the request or board action. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kenizel. Discussion? Not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenizel?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Next item is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants with an ACH payment and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $37,730.17.
Okay, you've heard the board action. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Discussion? Not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenizel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Next item I have is the election AVD board action. This is just the final step in our assisting voting device. We've been talking about this for 3 years. This is the final implementation. I won't read all the background, you're aware of it, but this is our omni ballot purchase from each city and township are participating. Everybody's signed on that they will be fiscally responsible for their part, and so will Todd County. And so our recommendations are to approve the assisting voting device, which is referred to as the omni ballot, or do not approve the assistant voting device. Our recommendation is to approve the assisting voting device, the omni ballot, to purchase from Sea Change in the amount of $167,880 on behalf of the municipality agreements received from the cities and townships within Todd County. Financial implications are listed below. We have the VEGA grant that was awarded to us, and Todd County's investment is $10,809.97, and all of our local jurisdictions are committed to supporting this, and their amount would be $123 with $30.68, and it's budgeted.
Okay, you've heard the board action. Is there a motion?
I'll move for discussion.
Motion by Commissioner Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. If they keep pushing for mail-in ballots, is this gonna change anything here?
No, these are still devices that we need to use.
To
The assisted voting is to assist somebody, so we'll still have precincts, they still have to be open. There'll probably be more mail-in ballots, but if you have a precinct that's open, you have to federally by law have one of these.
Right.
So there's no change in this, it still will have to be there, because you will still have a polling place open.
Because I think somebody's agenda is to get everybody to do a mail-in ballot, and it should be, yeah, in person, but anyways, that's my opinion.
Yeah, we do see a lot of absentee voting,
Okay.
but precincts are still open, so they are required federally to have one of these.
So the precincts will be open.
Yes.
Okay.
And we encourage our voters to get out and vote.
And Denise, this is basically the handicapped.
This is the one that assists you
Or
with your
half of-
voting. If you're blind or you need hearing, you know, you can
Yeah.
hook up and it'll vote for you. And we're finding, because of the technology getting so, you know, everybody's on their phones, that we're finding even people without disabilities, they just go and
Using.
sit down and do these because it's faster. It's just push of a button, ching, 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 your vote is submitted.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, if all those in favor say aye. Carried.
The next item we have is the Initiative Foundation Annual Contribution. The Todd County Board of Commissioners have budgeted for an annual contribution to the Initiative Foundation in the past budget years. The Initiative Foundation is requesting confirmation on whether the contribution will be continued for the 2021 budget year, matching 2020's allocation of $7,500. And so it's your recommendation today, if you want to approve confirming the county's intent to provide an annual contribution to the Initiative Foundation by allocating $7,500 to the named proposed within the 2021 budget year.
Question I have before we vote on this is, have we been upping it each year a little bit?
We only upped it about 2 years ago when you suggested that we did. Yeah.
It was 5,000,
Yep.
right?
And then we went up to 7,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we went to 7,500. Do you know what
And the-
other counties give as far as comparison?
I don't know that. I didn't bring any of that paperwork with me. I think we did check it out a few years ago. And,
Well, the Initiative Foundation does a lot of good things for our county, and I don't know, I think we should just start increasing it a little bit each year, but that's my feelings, but, their payback and our, what we get back per dollar investment is pretty substantial, so. But I guess I would imagine we currently are budgeting only 7,500.
right, we currently are budgeting 7,500, and with the budgets that we're looking at for going into 2021, it would be my recommendation as auditor treasurer just to keep it at that amount for this year. I don't know that we're in the position that we want to be increasing just because of our fiscal situation.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson, discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried, thank you.
The first item we have here now is the Sacre-Coeur Watershed Manager Responsibilities. The Sacre-Coeur background, the Todd County Board of Commissioners are required by statute to appoint managers to the watershed district, such as the Sacre-Coeur Watershed District within their jurisdiction. The commissioners have developed a set responsibilities that are desired for the manager of the Sacre-Coeur Watershed to adhere to as appointed representative selected by Todd County. So we're just giving some type of listing of what you guys are wanting to see from this individual. At this point in time, we're just adopting the attached responsibilities and protocol. They were kind of presented on behalf of Randy, or Commissioner Newman. And so we just typed them up as just responsibilities or things that you guys would desire from this representative. 1, to be fiscally responsible to the taxpayers of Todd County. 2, to report monthly to the county board with updates by email or in person. 3, to support separating the watershed business from Stearns and Pope County ditch business matters, and to have separate monthly meetings. 4, to keep the people of Todd County informed on what the Sacre-Coeur Watershed Board of Managers are acting on, and which include providing articles to local newspapers. And then 5 is to go in person to site projects with Todd County to ensure that when a vote is taken on the project, there is ample understanding of the project's scope. These are just some guidelines. It's, there's nothing set in stone. It was just a recommendation by the commissioners. And then moving on to the next item.
Personally, if I may, on this subject, I would like to move this to a work session so that we could discuss it as a board more.
Sure, that'd
I
be
mean, that's
fine.
my feelings. I'd like to have more discussion on this. I don't know what the rest of the commissioners
Yeah,
feel.
we just placed it in order, just talking about the responsibilities, because we do have the applicant here. And so we
Right.
just kind of wanted to air it out, but we can definitely move
No,
that to a
I
work
think
session.
it doesn't matter if we're gonna
Yeah.
appoint or not appoint, whatever we're gonna do, but if this is the guidelines that we want, as a full board, I think we should have a work session on it.
Sure.
Mr. Chair, and then with that work session, I will produce the documentation of the meeting that the 5 counties had down in Melrose back in 2015, where basically we discussed these same 5
Okay,
topics, so.
All right, we'll move that to a work session then. And then our next item then would be bringing the applicant in. And I gave you the application he had filed when we had the opening. Background is Todd County Board of Commissioners were seeking an appointment for the Sacre-Coeur Watershed District Board of Managers. The filing period closed on June 15th. The applicant information was received within the filing period and had been provided to the Todd County Board to be reviewed. And the applicant here now is Paul Hartman, so.
Good morning.
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 My name is Paul Hartman. And do I need to go any further, or do I just wait for some questions?
I just gave them a copy of what you had submitted to me,
Okay.
so they kind of have a little bio on what you've been involved in.
Well, Mr. Hartman, I guess I have a question. I would like to know what you, what your feelings are about the Sauk River Watershed District. What is your,
Do you want my honest opinion?
yes, I do.
I think it's one of the most disorganized, unorganized, over-budgeted organizations that's out there.
Okay,
I think it's being manipulated by an administrator that does not have the taxpayers' interest in mind. There's I think it's a certain bubble that they are protecting. I don't exactly know what it is, but I think it needs to be at least controlled to a bit so that they just don't keep on wasting taxpayer money.
okay. And can you tell me why you want to be on this board then, please?
Because there's not enough people out there that's willing to stand up to what needs to be done, and that have the strength to put up with all the bull crap that goes on in that place, where I think I'm just kind of ornery enough that I can deal with it.
Okay. Commissioners?
And Mr. Chair, I will confer with that. I've watched two of good friends of mine from Douglas County be appointed to that board and basically got browbeat off the board. After a year on that board, they just said it's not worth it. And so Douglas County has went through, this is their third appointment, I think, in the last 3-4 years to the watershed. The manager or the administrator did come up to Charlie Myers and say, you know, we do not like the people that the Douglas County Board of Commissioners are appointing to the watershed. So, anybody that asks any questions or disagrees, you are blackballed and basically ruled out of there. That's my opinion from what I've seen attending the meetings.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would have a question. Do you think the board has a place or a true purpose out there? Or do you think that it's something?
No, I think all watershed districts have probably a certain value. This one here, their budget, the budget was set up by state statute, the maximum levy amount of $250,000. The reason why the state legislators put that cap on there is, to some degree, is to control their power. They do have the power to assess for projects, but I think their initial purpose was, because you're dealing with multi-county jurisdictions, that you kind of needed somebody or some organization to bridge that to get things done. Because, obviously, if you got I think the original reason that they started was to deal with ditching, because ditching obviously is the biggest gamut that it's running. So do they have a purpose? Yes, they do. But you can't give them a blank check, and that blank check was in 2005 when they were granted the levy capacity of running a 0.01% or whatever it is, 0.01% of the tax value. And they're maxing that out right now. $863,000 they're levying this year because of the $8.6 billion of real estate values in the watershed district. So just because you have the power, I mean, you guys, the county, you have probably the power to levy whatever you want to levy, don't you? Is there a cap on it? I mean, you could levy whatever you wanted to, right? Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Well, we have people vote for us, so.
Right, yeah, so if you just decided to say, you know what, we want to put up, we want to do an extra project here of $500 million, and you know what, we're just going to raise the levies to everybody to pay for that $500 million. Do you guys think you'll be sitting there very long? So.
I did have the opportunity of attending one of the meetings in Osakis. And I believe Representative Poston was there. Who's a representative from Alec?
Mary Hanson,
Representative Franson?
or Franzen, I'm sorry.
Yes, and they were both there at that meeting too. It was a real eye-opener, I guess, for me to see what was actually taking place at the meeting and the concerns of the residents in the watershed. So I am aware of the problems with the budgeting into the watershed area, so.
Well, and the other thing is that as a board managers are appointed by the commissioners or the Todd or the county, whichever county you're in. One of the things I don't think there is enough of, and there isn't enough of, that the board managers are in discussion directly with the county commissioners. I mean, the way I look at it is if you appoint me, you guys are my boss. You know, my job is to work with you and to do what you guys want. And obviously I'd probably be working mostly with Randy because he's the, the commissioner in that area. But, you know what, if the county commissioner says, you know what, Paul, we don't like this project, don't vote for it. That's my job. My job is to work for you. You guys are working for the taxpayer. I work for the county commissioners or the county.
Well, you're partially right, because some of the district comes into my district.
Okay, so, well, that's fine. Well, then I'll be working with you directly too.
Well,
But I think communication is big. I mean, I don't think there's enough communication between your appointees in the past. I think they just kind of do things whatever they want to do, and that's kind of goes back to the direction of who's running the show. And I think to some degree the county commissioners and the counties need to take a little bit more control too, and a little more interest in it as well. I mean, Mr. Newman has gone to, I think, every meeting possibly out there. I mean, and he warned me. I mean, he warned me 10, 12 years ago about the power of the watershed, and of course I just said, whatever. Now it's coming back as I get older and start having the time to pay attention a little bit more. I'm going, holy crap, Randy's right. So.
Mr. Hartman, do you have a Facebook page?
Yes, I do.
Is it strictly against the watershed district?
Yes, it is.
Okay. You want to see it dissolved?
Do I want to see it dissolved? Well, if there was a way to reduce their impact on the taxpayer, that's the way to do it. But the way I'm seeing it, through their arrogance of who's controlling right now, it gets pretty difficult to step it back. But that's what it should be done. Ultimately, it should be stepped back. There should be, and I've worked with in fact, I was at a hearing down in St. Paul with Paul Anderson, Representative Paul Anderson, to try to get the tax committee to reduce the levy from the 0.01% of value down to a $500,000 maximum cap levy. So unfortunately, the element of the tax, well, and then within right afterwards, we went into this COVID stuff, and then everything changed as far as priorities and stuff like that as well, so. But, yeah, we're trying to reduce its impact on the taxpayer.
Okay, any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to appoint Paul to the Sauk River Watershed as a district manager.
A motion by Commissioner Newman, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Becker, discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Paul has worked with Representative Franson, Representative Poston, Representative Anderson. I'm sure you've had conversations with Senator Engelbretson on the topic of trying to control the taxing from the watershed. So, thank you for that.
Okay, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson,
My concerns are kind of the two-sided thing of the board having a meaning and a purpose, and yet your opinion of it may be being dissolved. It makes it a tough combination for me to put you in a place where I think it's a needed thing, but I think it needs to be controlled.
The reality is you will never dissolve that organization.
Well, reality is you can't, it's statutorily there.
Right.
So I would hope for good participation with good control and not maybe an attempt to just demolish.
It's never going to get eliminated. It's never going to get eliminated. The question is can you reduce its impact on the taxpayer? Or do you just continually want to, I mean, if you want to just give them a blank check of a 0.01% forever and ever, then don't vote for me. Because I will still fight for the reduction of its tax impact on the people.
I'll go yes.
oh, sorry, Commissioner Kneisel,
I'll vote yes.
Commissioner Kircher.
No. And the reason I'm voting no is because I understand the organization and its mission and its taxing authorities got out of control, but I want somebody on that board that's willing to keep a level head, discuss things, not be interruptive, and not be on a mission to destroy the organization. So that's why I'm voting no. So if I hear things like that from the organization about you being disruptive, then I will ask that that be brought back to the board. So I'm just informing you. I've seen and heard things that I don't like, and I think this board should be more in a positive direction, and when we appoint our appointees, that we have someone that is willing to work with the organization, and they can certainly work against it, but in a professional manner. So I'm just giving you fair warning from me. So because part of the Watershed District is in my district, and I've had a lot of people concerned about your appointment. So I'm just informing you, I'm being honest and upfront with you. So.
You know what? That's all I ever asked from anybody, is to be fair, honest, put your opinion straight out there, and you know, I will do my best to represent the Todd County and the commissioners, because ultimately you guys are the boss.
All right, thank you. Oh, did we vote? Yes, we're done, right?
Yep, we voted.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hartman.
Thank you.
We're on to Public Works.
Okay, Public Works, Lauren?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Our first item on the agenda this morning for Public Works is our request for final payment authorization for our 2020 pavement marking contract. Our options are to approve the attached resolution and do not approve the attached resolution. Our recommendation this time is to approve the attached resolution, making final payment for this contract of $2,077.86 to Traffic Marking Services for their work completed.
Okay, heard the board action, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Kneisel, second by Commissioner Erickson, discussion? Not, all's in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, carried.
Thank you. Our second item on the agenda this morning is a very similar request. It's for our final payment authorization for our 2020 dust control construction contract with the options of approving and not approving the attached resolution. And our recommendation at this time is to approve the attached resolution, making final payment of $84,080.94 to Knife River Corporation for this contract for their work completed.
Okay, you've heard the board action, is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman, discussion?
Yeah, Lauren, that 84,000, that's the whole thing, ain't it?
You broke up there. I missed that part.
That's the whole amount that was gonna be paid out. 84,000 was in the budget, wasn't it? Or is there more?
Nope, the total amount was for the completed work was $121,859.49. And we've already made partial payments for the previous work completed throughout the summer of $37,778.55.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Carried, thank you.
So our last item on the agenda is a request for our final payment authorization for our 2019 construction contract. And this specifically was our bridge over the Long Prairie River on our County Road 26 near Don and Dave's store. Our options are to approve the attached resolution, do not approve the attached resolution. And our recommendation is to approve the attached resolution, making final payment to Redstone Construction for $143,860.54 for their work completed for the construction of that bridge.
Okay, you've heard the board action, is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson, discussion?
It's a nice bridge.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't think you heard you.
Turned out really nice.
It did. The only thing is where they make that curve going to the north, that.
Morning, everyone.
Come
Morning,
on,
Mitch.
the road goes.
So I just have one topic here, and it is the facilities maintenance tech. The background is after recommendation from the Personnel Committee and the Finance Committee, there is a request for a maintenance tech position within the Facilities Department. The maintenance tech position would replace a custodian position and not add any additional staff. The options are to approve the budgeted request to add a maintenance tech position or do not approve the request. The recommendation is to approve the budgeted request to add a maintenance tech position and begin recruiting for the position.
Okay, you've heard the request, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson, discussion?
Yes, during the personnel meeting and also work session, we had a discussion on overtime hours. And if this would help eliminate some of those overtime hours. You did give us a sheet that said that the overtime hours
Yep.
had been cut down drastically than
Yep.
what they had been before. And I just hope that with this position that we do not see, or somehow we could manage to have someone as regular work hours during those times when we know we need someone
Yep,
here to check.
we'll do our best to flex our time as best as possible. This week, example, it was a very hot week. We had on let's see here, was it last week, Thursday and Monday, I think between them, we had 5 air conditioners go down, which in turn, we have fixed ourselves, which obviously saves the county and the taxpayers some money. We'll continue to do that and grow as a department. By adding this position, yes, we can definitely flex our time and do options that are feasible to do. We try to limit it as best as possible.
And I also understand during the winter season.
Yep, we
do
have.
not have any
yep.
control over
There-
the weather.
There's,
also.
you know, it's maintenance and you know, facilities, grounds work, and sometimes it's very unpredictable. Sometimes you can schedule that unpredictableness. If you see something, you know, in the future that you can see coming, for example, a snowstorm or something like that. I think what we have in front of us is just a good plan of action. And as long as we keep following that plan, we can continually to limit the need for maintenance after hours and during on scheduled work periods.
Okay, any more discussion? Not, all's in favor say aye.
Uh,
Carried.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Trying to get there, sorry.
all right.
There you go.
The one action I have is for a 2020 boating grant. Background is to accept the 2020 State Water Safety Grant in the amount of $7,501. Options, of course, are to approve the State Boat Water Safety Grant or to not approve. And recommendation, of course, is to approve the 2020 State Boating Water Safety Grant in the amount of $7,501.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
Some of,
Motion by Commissioner Canizzo, is it second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman, discussion.
Steve, I had a person ask me a question about that the other day. When they're out there doing that, are they basically just doing safety checks then? Or are they checking fishing licenses?
We do not check fishing licenses. That's up to the DNR to do that. We check for life preservers, fire extinguishers, anybody running on gunnels, stuff like that. It's more we're out there for safety issues and nothing to do with conservation.
That's what I thought it was.
Yep.
I just wanted to clarify it for 'em.
And these monies are for paying for wages and fuel and for maintenance of the boats.
Thank you.
Doesn't even come close to covering it.
Not really, but it helps.
is there more boats out there this year than?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of boats out because that's one activity people can do. So there's a lot of boats out there.
I think the upcoming problem is gonna be ATVs. They're just crazy.
Yeah. Oh, well, and a surge of
Yep.
personal watercraft too. The
Yeah.
jet skis are getting to be more and more popular.
Okay, any more discussion? If not, all's in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Solid waste, Chris, are you on?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So we have a board action form for asking your permission to authorize the department to submit our solid waste master plan to the MPCA for their review and approval.
Okay,
Would you like a summary of what the plan is, or is that enough information?
well, sometimes that's enough information. Commissioners, what do you want? Just go ahead.
Sure. So this is actually the second time we've asked this because we've, based on MPCA comments, we've made significant changes to the plan format. And so before we resubmit it, we just wanted to bring it before you again so you're aware that a lot of the changes are truly formatting. I would like to draw your attention to just a couple of highlights. Every 10 years, we're required by the state to update our solid waste management plan. And the point, I guess, that's important to me to share with you and the public is that the state requires the county to have a recycling rate of 35% by the year 2030. And it's our responsibility to monitor our recycling rate and to modify how we operate solid waste management in the county to get there. Just a couple of years ago, you lost a significant contributor to recycling, which is, I think there's a few different names for it, but I think it's LCS Communications. They're the paper company,
Yep.
or the book company.
RR Don.
So, because of that loss, your recycling rate has dropped quite a bit, from about 50% to about 25%. And as we look at our department as a whole to get our recycling back and to continue operations on other fronts like solid waste disposal for construction and demolition, we wanted to point out, because they require a budget, that we're seeing an expected 4 to 6% cost increase in the next 10 years. That would come through payment through the parcel fee. So we just wanted to have that known to you as you consider our plan.
Well, Chris, it kind of looks like it's something we should pass. It says here we could lose $70,000 if it's not submitted.
That's correct. The plan, the county receives $70,000 a year of what's called SCORE,
Yep.
grant money from the MPCA, and we have not received our payment in 2020, and they've said they're withholding it until this plan is approved.
Yep, kind of got you, huh? Okay, is there a motion?
So,
Motion by Commissioner Canizzo, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman, discussion? Not, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, Chris?
Yeah, is Jeremy, are you on the phone?
I am on
Oh,
the
I'm
phone,
sorry.
yep.
I didn't know you were on, Jeremy, sorry.
Jeremy is,
Nope, not a problem.
he prepared this, so I'm gonna let him present it.
Okay,
Okay, so our second one is, as part of our solid waste 5-year replacement plan. This year we are due for a new truck replacement for our hook truck. Options are to approve the purchase of a hook truck from Northland Truck Sales, or number 2, do not approve the purchase of a hook truck. Recommendation is to approve the purchase of a hook truck from Northland Truck Sales with the trade-in of the yard truck, which is an 86-4 9000T. It is budgeted, and the cost would be $163,748.
okay, you heard the request, is there a motion?
so moved.
Motion by Commissioner Canizzo, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson, discussion? Not, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Adam, are you on?
I am here. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
I just have the one item here, Kachemba Point Final Plat, subdivision request to establish preliminary plat on parcel 030024600 containing 2 lots was approved for preliminary platting on June 16th, 2020. The preliminary plat was approved with the following conditions. The 2 remaining parcels must never be split, that a minimum of 50% leaf on screening towards the lake for the new parcel, Lot 1, and 3, permanent recorded easement across Lot 1 for the proposed preliminary plat for access to Lot 2. Planning and zoning has completed a review of the plat and determined that this is ready for final platting. The options are move to approve the request to establish Kachemba's Point final plat, or deny the request for final platting. The recommendation would be approve final platting of the Kachemba Point plat with the conditions on parcel 030024600.
Okay, you've heard the request, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Erickson, is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kenizel, discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Adam, did you check into that cartway on this property?
Oh, yeah, we did a little bit, but we didn't find a good answer. The only thing we could conclude is that that is probably a requirement of that particular county. We had no requirements or weren't aware of any sort of cartway registration or recording that Todd County has ever had in place. So I'm assuming the thing we concluded is it is something to that particular county that they have a requirement. Whether that's ordinance related or something, that would be my assumption.
Well, doesn't our ordinance state that you have to have X amount of feet of road frontage in order to be a plat?
Yes, but our subdivision ordinance has a variance process just the same as a regular ordinance does, where if a practical difficulty is present and the recommendation of the planning commission is that it meets all the other requirements, they can suggest that the Board of Adjustment review this for the criteria of granting a variance, which was completed, and the variance was granted to reduce that road frontage requirement, similar to how you'd reduce the setback to the lake or property line or anything else.
So that'll be just recorded as a private easement, correct? Not a public easement?
That is correct. It is limited to just the owners of Lot 1 and Lot 2, and it will be maintained by those owners, not by the public or the county or the township or anybody else. It'll be the responsibility of those parties that have access to the easement.
Is that in the CUP, in the final plat statement, or, because we run into issues later on, huh?
That whole road, even leading up to it, is already maintained that way. It's a private road dedicated to the public, but it's maintained privately, and then as it transitions into this new plat,
But,
it's actually not even a public road anymore. It's just a private easement, but it would be maintained similarly to the road leading up to it.
but Randy and I run into
All
the
those-
two issues with people, they sell their property and the next owners doesn't understand that, and then here we are with who's responsible for this road, who plows it, who does everything.
That would be part of, I would imagine, part of when they go through the selling process, that they would need to be aware that that easement is part of the property.
Well, yeah.
Well, my concern would be is if I lived on Lot 2 and I had a heart attack, would emergency vehicles be able to get back there?
Sure. Yeah, they would be able to get back there. I mean, the road's wide enough, it's just narrower than what the county requirement is of 33 feet. And they would have to maintain it or keep it open because they need to give access to lot number 2.
How many more lots are available in this plot?
There is, this is the end of the road. One of the conditions is no more splitting, but there's just really no possible way to even create another lot if they wanted to. This was really the only avenue, which was the hardship or the practical difficulty present for the granting of the variance.
Do we at all ever request a cul-de-sac for emergency vehicles to be able to respond and turn around in these areas, or don't we do that?
Yeah, that would be a part of it in a typical situation, but because this is an easement, that wasn't required here. But in new plats where they can meet all the requirements, a cul-de-sac would have been created at the end of this.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Jackie?
I'm on. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Good morning. This is Jackie.
Yep, go ahead.
As of July 6th, which was yesterday, just to give you a quick update of our COVID-19 for Todd County, we've had 401 lab confirmed COVID-19 cases and 2 related deaths. Again, many people with COVID-19 are not tested, so laboratory confirmed cases can only represent the portion of the total number in Todd County who have had COVID-19. Cases no longer needing isolation is 396, which is about 99% of our population. And again, this is calculated as 14 days from their test date or June 22nd or earlier. Gender, males 55%, 220 have been lab confirmed positives, with female 42%, which is 168, and 3% unknown, which is 13. Our age range goes from 1 month of years of age to 85.3 years of age, with a case average of 37.3. And the state average is declining, which is now between 20 and 29 years of age. Minnesota's reported as of, again, yesterday, July 6th, COVID test completed 679,693. Lab confirmed positives is over 38,569. Statewide deaths, 1,474 statewide deaths. Hospitalized, those in Minnesota, 4,219. And as of yesterday, 258 remain hospitalized, with 125 in ICU in the state of Minnesota. Again, community transmission is the most common exposure in Todd County as well as throughout the state of Minnesota. That is my update for today. Thank you. I will stay on the line for questions.
Board members? None, Jackie, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Chris?
Mr. Chair and members of the board, I have a board action this morning to approve counties providing technology, the CPT Joint Powers Agreement. The background for this is counties providing technology Joint Powers Agreement has been updated and approved by the CPT board on June 22nd of 2020. Approval is required by each county board in order to initiate the updated agreement. And the options are to approve the CPT Joint Powers Agreement or to not approve, and the recommendation is to approve the CPT Joint Powers Agreement.
All right, you've heard the board action. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is 24 to 26 counties working together of trying to get this done. So it has taken us a while, about a little over a year, but we wanted to get it done. We have some other counties that are interested in joining CPT, and we're excited about that. So,
Okay. Any other discussion? Not, all's in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The second board action that I have is to approve the Rainbow Rider Joint Powers Agreement, and the background for this is the Rainbow Rider Joint Powers Agreement has been updated and approved by the Rainbow Rider Board on June 11th of 2020. Approval is required by each county board in order to initiate the updated agreement, and the options are to approve the Rainbow Rider Joint Powers Agreement or to not approve, and the recommendation is to approve the Rainbow Riders Joint Powers Agreement.
Okay, you've heard the board action. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Discussion. Not, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the next board action that I have is the Todd County Plan for Reopening to the Public Continued Discussion. The background for this is on May 26th of 2020, Todd County implemented Phase 1 of reopening by allowing appointment only for services where in-person appointments are necessary. On June 16th of 2020, Phase 2 was implemented with the Justice Center open on June 15th and Historic Courthouse opening on June 26th. Further discussion is needed to provide guidance of Phase 3 of reopening. So the options are to implement Phase 3 of reopening, which will include the following: open Health and Human Services on July 13th of 2020, open Main Street Government Center on July 13th of 2020, continue the high-volume services by appointment only, such as driver's license, continue providing all other services online by phone, email, and Dropbox and by appointment only, and continue public meetings virtually and with limited in-person capacity of 10. Or option 2, discuss other Phase 3 options for reopening. Or 3, to maintain operating under county functions under Phase 2. And the recommendation is to choose option 1 of implementing Phase 3 of reopening.
Okay, you heard the request. Is there a motion, or would you like discussion? All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kenizel. I should add that Chris has worked, I think, day and night to get this plan working. Runs it through the EOC when we have our meetings, and has been very detailed in a lot of this, and so I want to give my compliments to her on the hard work that she's put into all of this. So I think it's been working fairly well, and maybe a few hiccups, but I think it's working good. So
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a little additional comment on that. Our Phase 2 reopening with Historic Courthouse has gone extremely well. Things that we have heard from other counties and other areas where they've had lines around the building, we have not experienced that with our driver's license. The departments have worked very well together to make this plan work, so commending auditors, recorders, assessors, planning and zoning, all of the offices within this building. It has gone very smooth. The Phase 2 also included opening the Justice Center. That went extremely well as well. And we are hoping that Phase 3 goes equally as well with opening these other buildings. The final office that we would have to open would be our Staples branch office, and that will hopefully come with the next board meeting.
If I may, Mr. Chair. Chris, do you see anything coming down from the state at all as far as mandating anything back again or not, or as we move forward?
It's really an unknown. It is such an unknown. We've heard some of the warnings from the governor on some of the opening of the businesses, and the fact that there's been some outbreaks that he has attributed to those specific openings. I'm hoping that we won't be hearing anything of businesses closing again. There's discussion also about some potential mandatory masks, so we'll just wait to hear what comes this week. We're hoping that either Wednesday or Thursday we will hear if what the peacetime emergency status will be as of July 13th, because that does expire at that time. So we'll be listening closely for that, and hopefully we'll hear some more things lifting. One of the things that we're dealing with right now is this limited boardroom capacity. So having our meetings in here, we're still limited to that 10-person capacity, and I'm hoping that lifts soon. So.
all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. The closed session for performance evaluation has been removed from the agenda, and the next item is the closed session for negotiation strategy. The Commissioners will hold a closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 13D.03 for the purpose of considering strategy for labor negotiations. Do I have a motion to close our meeting?
So,
Motion by Commissioner Kenizel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion. Yeah, probably. Keep close tabs. We might be done sooner.
Steve, can I talk to you a sec? Can I talk to you a sec?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
The 2021 budget. We did put in a cost sheet along with our proposal, and budgeted for extra fuel, squad cars, of course, wage and benefits, uniforms, and then also vehicle outfitting. For 2 new deputies, with everything, that'd be wages, benefits, new squad, fuel, uniforms, vehicle outfitting, you're looking at about $127,244.41 per deputy. Of course, the squad cars are a one-time initial cost, then they'd be in a rotation about every 4 years, I believe it is, then they'd be up for a new squad car. So for the initial 35, actually plus outfitting, so you're looking at 37-ish for vehicles. That's just a one-time Then it gets, every 4 years, they'd be up for a new squad. So having said that, like I said, we were losing a lot to other agencies. I just looked on the pool line, which is the police officer's opportunity line. They don't even have all the listings of the jobs. It's littered with full-time opportunities for these kids, and I can't blame them. I was there too. I started out part-time, and as soon as the full-time carrot got dangled in front of me, I grabbed it. So that's where we're sitting at this point. Anything else you'd like to add, Lonnie?
No, just when we train in these part-timers, it's costing us $11,000 some odd dollars to train somebody in. And if, like Steve said, it's a revolving door, trying to keep guys around. The only way you can keep them around is if they have the opportunity for a full-time job.
And those are typically the kids that, well, I call them kids, the guys that, gals that live in the area that wanna stick around the area.
I have a, question, Steve, for you, and just for you to think about. Just with our finances with the county, we don't know what's gonna happen here with tax collections coming up and everything else. And I guess I was gonna ask you to come back to the finance committee meeting on tomorrow, right? We have one. Would you be willing to take, if we agreed upon that at the finance committee and bring it back to the full board, would you be willing to just take one in 21 and one in 22 and
Absolutely.
phase it in?
Absolutely.
Just a thought that
We're here, like, we start
Yeah.
the process
Right.
prior to this COVID whole thing happening, and, no, yeah, I'd be absolutely willing to do something like
Just
that. It's-
thinking about phasing it in, so
Absolutely.
we wouldn't be
Yep.
such an impact on the levy, and,
Yep,
cause your department is all levy dollars and.
Correct.
Mostly, so.
Yep.
Just a thought, but I don't know what other commissioners think about that, but, if you come back to the finance tomorrow, I don't know if he's on the schedule, but I'd like him back so we can discuss that a little bit.
just email me a time and.
If I could, Steve, can you walk us through the city contracts a little bit? Where are we coming out? Are we losing on them? Are we breaking even on them? You know, cause we basically are doing most of the cities of Todd County except for Staples
And Long Prairie.
and Long Prairie.
Yep.
Okay.
It's money we wouldn't have, so
Okay.
we're coming out ahead. And so basically, we're contracted a certain amount of hours depending on the town, and we,
Okay, and that's what I was just figuring out, you know.
yep,
And the sheet I'm looking at is this one right here, yeah, the one that's
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, we do
And then
73
you do
hours a
20
week.
hours in birth, is that per week then?
Correct.
Okay. And with the schools, your contracts with the schools, have you had any contracts yet with the schools or not?
Bertha
And
and
Browerville.
Browerville. We do 12 a week in Bertha
yep.
and 20 in Browerville.
And is that contract going to continue on?
That was a 2-year contract with
Yeah,
them.
as long
Okay.
as,
So
long
this
as
year, next
school
year.
opens back up, yes. So we did lose out on the last couple months of the school year this year because there was no school, but
Okay, and so then the school didn't reimburse you guys back because they weren't in session?
Yeah,
Okay.
we didn't have an officer in the school, so.
And if you go to full-time, you would do away with some of the part-time? That's
That would alleviate a lot of the part-time. We could probably, if we get year 2, if we phase in, then we could take one of those deputies, kind of use them as a floater, have them doing some court security, or I should say bailiffing. We use a lot of part-time for that. So what you're doing is you're bringing in a part-timer for sometimes one case. So we gotta pay them a minimum of 2 hours to come in, and then they're leaving. So it's a lot of time that we could say, okay, you're on the road for most of the day, but at 12 o'clock, there's a hearing, be up there for that. And or transport, we can float them around into different aspects.
And I guess the other thing that would go along with that too, and we can have more discussions tomorrow too, is the squad and equipment, because that's quite expensive.
I'm sorry, what was that?
With your squad car and the equipment to go with your vehicle, it's real expensive also.
Yep, and that's factored in there.
Yeah. And would you need to have that new squad car this year to go along with, you know, because you're replacing some of the part-time people or?
We would order one if we were granted an officer, and that would probably it'd obviously come out of next year's budget. And in the meantime, when we get our squad car for our new water patrol rig that we actually ordered that already, what we're gonna do, instead of having a pickup, it's a Tahoe that we're gonna outfit totally, that can be used for transports, everything. So the one we got now, it's used to pull a boat and snowmobiles and ATVs. It doesn't have a cage in it, it has a radio, and that's about it. So that way even if somebody has a car to your accident and the car's out of commission for 2 weeks, then we can use that vehicle as a replacement.
Well, the reason for the take-home squad cars is if you don't have a take-home squad car, the response time is
Greatly
cut
increased.
way down. And so let's say I live in Bertram and all of a sudden I get a call and I'm supposed to go on, I have to drive in the Long Prairie, get a squad car and then go on the call. So that cuts down on your response time, which is a danger of maybe life or death for someone.
Right now, a
so-
lot of the call-ins are for backup, and that backup is typically a
And,
very
yeah.
serious call where there's either gunplay, something like that, or a bad domestic where there's additional officers needed, and if they'd have to run into town, and they live, some of our deputies live in Staples, that's 30-some miles one way, that'd be an hour just in drive time just to get that.
I also like the take-home squad cars, if you per se, because they're out
They're visible.
Community.
throughout the county and they're very,
Absolutely.
very visible.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, it's also maintenance, if you have 5 people taking care of a car versus 1, your maintenance
costs go through the
becomes
roof.
a nightmare because they don't take care of the car.
Nobody takes care of it,
Right.
because it's not my job.
Yep.
And
So-
working with the PD, that was the problem we had, is we had 2 squad cars,
Right.
one of which was 24/7, and it would be maintenance on it all the time because it's constantly being driven,
And nobody's taking care of
and
it.
exactly. You always take care of something better when it's
Yours.
your personal.
Mr. Chair, I got a question. How many full-time deputies we have right now?
16 with us.
Yep.
Yep.
17,
17, well,
17 including.
Yep, I forget what Josh.
administration, yeah.
Yep.
How many?
17 including the administration, Steve and I, but
That's 3 investigators, we got that's one which is the task force guy, 2 investigators, me, Lonnie, and,
civil process, yeah,
civil process, and then plus you got,
school resource.
school resource and Josh with the court security.
I think the federal standards are 1 per 1,000 people or 10,000, 1 per 1,000, I think.
I looked it up, several times and they've gone away with that, now
Oh.
it's between 500 and 1,000
Okay,
depending.
that's
yeah.
1 officer per,
So
1,000
we're still,
capita.
even if we would get these 2 guys, we're still under that
Right,
standard by
absolutely.
quite a ways.
So how does that work when they're eliminating the police departments? And
That doesn't work, Randy.
Yeah. Ask the Hennepin County Sheriff how it's working, if they fold that.
They want him to take over, he ain't taking over.
He doesn't have near the manpower.
How do you add 700 more guys?
So let's bring it back tomorrow for more discussion at the finance and,
Chris, if you
see
wanna
what we
email
can do,
me a
so.
time, and
Yep,
Denise.
will. Yep.
Perfect, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'd say, what time is it tomorrow morning, right? I think Steve and I are both gone in the afternoon.
It'll be after
11.
department.
That's right, I
head.
got that appointment.
Right after department head, so.
Okay, perfect.
Are we doing after department heads before department heads?
No. Right. Yeah.
We can,
If you have it in the morning, that'd be, work out for both of us real good. What's up?
After
It's
10.
11 o'clock is what I,
It'll be after 10.
if it
Oh,
don't
that's
work,
fine.
if it don't work, we'll get you next week. or
Yep, yep, cause I'm here
Yep.
until noonish.
so. Yep, all right.
Great, thank you.
perfect, thank you guys.
Have a good day.
Okay, who's next, Sarah or who?
Sarah,
Or is she on the phone or is she here?
I get her. Hey Sarah, are you ready to come in for a work session? Okay, see you in a bit, thanks, bye.
Hey, Sarah.
Good morning again. I am bringing for discussion the Policies Committee work on the vacation policy. The things that were updated, we took off the monthly accruals and annual accruals for the calculations, and we added a calculation for moving from part-time to full-time, and how that would work as far as your vacation accrual date.
How does this affect our contracts?
This is a personnel policies change, so at this time, it does not affect contract employees. We would propose, I think the union business agents would appreciate this change.
Okay. Okay, any questions, board members? So if can we adopt this without, outside of the union contracts, or no?
Mr. Chair, we can, because this is personnel policy.
Okay, but I just, so even if it contradicts what,
The contracts spell out what's for contract employees.
yeah. I just wanna make sure we aren't doing something that,
7 contracts, a lot of them, Mr. Chair, 7 contracts, a lot of them have different language as far as the frickin' vacation and how it is occurred, and it's just crazy.
Again, we haven't talked to the business agents
Yeah.
or the unions, but we would certainly propose this.
but yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm for it, I just wanna make
Yeah.
sure we don't get into some,
Contract employees are different.
okay,
Mr. Chair, this change really helps us just clean up the language
Yeah.
mainly for
Okay.
this. And there's just a few other changes that we could have discussions with the business agents at the appropriate time.
yeah, okay. All right. Anything?
There's a lot of discussion goes into these things.
I would imagine. I don't wanna be the pain in the butt here, but I'm just saying, I wanna
Me too.
make sure that we,
It's pretty interesting.
yeah,
A lot of different views.
Yeah, that's what makes it an effective committee.
so what do we do now from this point on?
So if there's no changes, if you support this, I will bring it to board at the next
Okay.
board meeting and ask for your approval.
Okay, all right,
And in the meantime, we'll see if we get any pushback or feedback from.
We might get feedback.
okay, that's good. Discussion, challenge,
Yeah,
all right, good, thank you.
thank you.
Anything else? I don't think there's anything else on there. All right. See you in a couple weeks, some of you.
Thank you.